Hey guys, Rob Davis, One Blue Robot here with Greg Holle of
Fort Worth Texans Baseball Club.
Fort Worth Texans Baseball Club. So is officially our newest client, and welcome to the community. We're going to get to know Greg. We're going to get to know his facility, his program, and a couple of his coaches here as well. Tell us about your career, kind of how you got there.
I was drafted by the Yankees out of high school, decided not to go, went to TCU. From TCU, went on, was a member of the 2010 College World Series team, and then kind of everything from there. I was with the Brewers for 6 years after I got drafted in 2010, and now I am sitting here with you. I had a brother who was older. My dad played in the big leagues for a bit, which was kind of one of those things where I was around it from a young age. It's perfectly fine for the time you're playing, whether you play other sports as well, to make the most of what you got, whether it's from a skill standpoint, the most fun you're going to have, because I'll tell you, the more success you have from a personal level, from a team standpoint, the more fun it becomes.
Right.
And if we go through and we do this, I could walk you through and do the same thing over and over and over with each person, or you have a conversation with the parent and the kid, what do you guys want to do?
You talked about setting goals with these young athletes and their parents, wanting to know what they're really interested in doing, making sure that they understand the why, right? It's not just hand placement here or something, just because it's a skill.
Right.
What's the reason behind it? But then something you hit on, I think that I think differentiates you guys, and that is that coaching is more about not just telling someone what to do, but eliciting a behavior out of them, right? Knowing personally what they're going to need with that, especially with kids, right? Because they're all over the map. Knowing what they're going to need and help them to advance and get them to do it, not just tell them and then hope that they do, right? And that's a real skill set, so that's awesome. Right. So here we are. Hold on before we get started. This is Jimmy Farr. Before we get started, I got to fit in. So Jimmy Farr, all right, so great to have you. You're one of the staff here. And if you heard standing over there all the stuff that Greg was going on about the great staff. And I think so far from what I've seen, it's true. So same thing, give us a little bit of background of your baseball career to start with.
My baseball career, it's going to sound eerily similar to Greg's, actually, except Flower Mound is where I played high school baseball at, and then 2008, TCU was a part of the 2010 College World Series team as well. Greg left me junior year to go with the Brewers, and then I came back senior year, then followed him to the Brewers right behind him. So played with the Brewers for a couple of years, got hurt, went home, took my bat, took my ball, and went home, and been trying to teach it ever since. So.
Yeah. So tell me about your experience, here with the Texans.
I mean, every day I enjoy coming to work. I'm working with one of my best friends. I get to coach the game I love. Guy who can't play anymore, so the next best thing is to help these youngsters kind of achieve as high as they can. Try and get them to the highest level that they can be. And that's my passion. That's what's fun to me. I teach baseball all day, and then I go home and I watch baseball on TV. I'm a nerd like that. So much of it is here, and the difference that separates a good player to a great player is what's between their ears, how they can figure this stuff out and keep adapting with their game, and on the flip side of that, the other half's all feel. It's so in the cage, it's a constant challenge because you can paint the prettiest word picture in the world about what you want to feel, but nothing doesn't like feeling it. Mm-hmm. Making it happen, and then it's like, and seeing those lights go off, seeing them feel what they want to feel and run with it, man, there's nothing better in my opinion.
All right, guys, next segment, we're here with Sam Demel. I think this is going to be a little bit of a fun segment as well because this guy comes with a ton of experience. Tell us a little bit about your baseball career. Give us the synopsis.
I was drafted out of high school in 2004 and opted to go to TCU and play for Coach Schlossnagel there. I spent 3 years at TCU, 05 to 07, and then I got drafted in the third round out of there by the Oakland A's. Came up in their farm system for 3 years until I got traded to the Diamondbacks and went straight to the big leagues from there. Spent 3 years with them, mostly in the big leagues, and then got traded again to Houston Astros then to the Yankees, and then finished my career with the Dodgers.
One of the things I think that this club brings, and I understand this, from my coaching background, not in baseball and as an athlete, talking about development. I mean, you guys have big league experience and understand through the entire process from what the age these kids are that you're working with now, all the way through college, and if those that go on to the big leagues, that it's a development process, and you guys understand it, right? You guys get it at every level. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think the one thing that people really need to focus or realize is I've played with some of the greatest players in this game that nobody's ever known about. Talent-wise, off the charts. The ability level is just big league ready at 19, 20, 21. And they never make it because of the mentality, because of understanding the work ethic, the routines, and the ability to deal with failure. And that's probably the biggest key is how do you cope with that? How do you cope with failure? And it's something that you have to develop. You have to develop the understanding that you're playing a sport that's going to beat you down. You're playing a sport that is perceived as failure. You get out 7 out of 10 times and you're a Hall of Famer. You win half of your starts and you're a Hall of Famer. That means you lose half of them. That means you get out 7 times. How do you recover from that? How do you develop a mentality that you live it, you learn from it, and you forget about it, and you move on to the next one? And that's really what I try to instill in all of my players is that coping mechanism, that ability to be in the moment and then forget about it, good or bad. And I think that's the toughest aspect for kids to really grasp is, yeah, you just hit a home run, that's great. Your next at bat, it's over. You just made an error in the field. Who cares? The next one's coming right at you. That is the development aspect that we really try to instill in kids is live it, learn from it, and forget about it.
All right, guys, we're continuing on here with Fort Worth Texans Baseball Club. I am with Logan Brumley, and he is the babe in the woods on the staff. Tell me about your baseball career.
I grew up in baseball. My dad was in baseball. He's been in it for 35, 36 years. He played for a while. I remember more of his coaching career in pro ball. And so we moved to Texas as a result of a job he got here with the Rangers. And I went to high school at Keller Central. I went to a couple different colleges, but I had a pretty good experience. I got to go to a JUCO World Series Super Regional with Dallas Baptist, which is where I got my degree. And then I actually spent a year in NAIA and got to go to a NAIA World Series in Lewiston. So, what drew me in? I mean, I kind of met Greg through a mutual friend that was another ball player, that pretty successful athlete, and so his advice to me to come down here and look at and check out the program and drew my interest. And as soon as I met these guys, and I knew that they were more in line with what I believe about, as far as training youth baseball.
So you come with the highest level coaching experience, background, all that with your dad. Mm-hmm. You have another successful player that recommends you come here. You come and you meet these guys, and it's a done deal, and you're in. I love it. Okay, so we're here with Kristin. This is Greg's wife. Tell me about the Fort Worth Texans and kind of your view. I know we talked about a lot of times there's so many people behind the scenes in a business, any business, that help make sure things get done right? So you're still very active in volleyball.
Right.
But kind of tell me when he mentioned this to you, because you were telling me off camera, this is the perfect thing for Greg.
Right.
He mentioned to you he wanted to do this. Your thought process was what?
Well, at first he was thinking about kind of joining another group, and he'd come home and, just certain stuff, he was like, he didn't really, the vision that they were seeing for that certain club wasn't really the vision that he saw. And so whenever he got talking to my brother about he wanted to do his own thing, I was really excited for that because, just like I told you before, he's very, very passionate, obviously, about baseball. He knows his stuff, and this is perfect for him. I could never see him, and everyone that knows him, we could never see him in a suit and tie.
Everyone on our team, if you want to call it that, from a staff standpoint, has played professionally. That's not the end all. You still have to be able to coach, but it's kind of getting us in a situation now where we can go and we can continue to draw the kind of people we're looking to draw, and expand this as a brand, if you want to call it that, as best we can. we have a lot of kids that come in from other organizations that work with us because they know the guys we have are on top of their stuff. And I like to think that I know a little bit about baseball, a little bit about what it is we're talking about pertaining to that. But yeah, I think that's really it. It's more or less, you know, if you're kind of on the fence trying to figure out what to do with your kid or in a certain situation. This is daughter included. I'm not going to teach you anything about throwing underhand, but on the hitting side, the fielding side, the catching side, stuff's all similar.
So yeah, mechanics are basically the same, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those. I'm telling you, if you like where you're at, I'm the first one to tell you, you know, kind of keep doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't fix it if it, you know, the old saying, don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty true. But at the same time, if you're trying to figure out something to do, or you want to get a different eye or a different vision of something, man, I don't bring these guys on without a lot of, you know, I won't call it necessarily second guessing them, but second guessing my decision making. Because once you put your name and, you know, your brand behind it, you want to make sure these guys got their stuff together. And, you know, in the time that they've done it, there's really no question in my mind. You know, if you are on the fence, give them a try. I'd be hard pressed to think that, you know, qualification wise, I know, but just the way they can relate to people that have seen them do it over and over again, you know, I think would be a pretty solid fit.
Greg really has done a great job of making sure that the staff you brought on so far fit the personality and the way that you want to teach, that baseball IQ, right? Teaching game and making sure that they understand these kids are actually in a development process. And I can see that in the things that they're doing. So guys, I highly recommend that you check them out. One Blue Robot's going to be taking over the social media. There'll be a new website coming out here shortly as well. Go check them out. Check us out on social media. Follow, share, like, comment. Let us know anything that you feel, any questions. There's some other surprise stuff we haven't told Greg about that we're going to do on social media for these guys as well. That'll make it really easy for you to get questions answered. Watch for some how-tos coming up in the weekly videos because we're going to be doing a weekly segment consistently. But we look forward to talking more with you guys, hearing what you have to say, sharing on social media, do all of that. Get out here and come meet these guys in person. It's great that you can see them here, and that's why we want to do this, but get out here and get a feel because there's definitely a feel here that's unique. We're gonna knock this out of the park.
Appreciate it.
One last fist bump.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll be talking to you guys soon.